Okay, Thursday, June 10th, 11th, I don't know, it's Thursday, figure it out from that. I just came across this beautiful deer in the path that let me get so close. I'm going to try to attach it and connect it to this video. I don't really have an editor, but I think I know how I can put them together. I can't believe how close this deer let me get. As I walked up on her, you know, I expected her to kind of run into the brush, and she just stood there looking at me. I mean, you'll see it. I'm going to put it out, and you know, I didn't want to freak her out and get too close, so she stepped off to the side a little bit, and I was able to walk right up on her. I was a couple yards away, not even. It's crazy. Anyway, shit show, like I said, day Thursday. Now, I was talking to a buddy of mine last night, and we were talking about the entirety of things and his frustration trying to, you know, and the way he does it is he just kind of puts things out there and tries to get people to question things, and people give him a hard time, and he's trying to, like, well, why wouldn't you just ask questions, you know? And then and we were talking about, you know, people's lack of common sense. And you look at where we are in the middle of June, and you go back to just shortly ago in the beginning of March. Would you think that people would be walking around wearing muzzles and announcements being made in stores about distancing and masks, and people looking at each other like they're all diseased and I'm better than you, I'm staying clean, this entire socially engineered purpose of you know, doing it this way, followed by the closing down of the entire world, the destruction of small businesses on an unprecedented scale. Millions of people will never go back to work. They are now deciding who will stay open and who will close with their entire takeover of means of production. The central banks being flooded with dollars to buy and buy and buy. Dollars owned by the Fed being printed out of thin air to eventually be destroyed, and by default the Fed will then own everything. Corporate means of production being taken over by government. You know, Dollar Tree can stay open, but you, local guy, have to close. You know, who decides that? Well, the corporations. The government, I mean, through the corporations, for the corporations. Because this is the point of the whole thing that they're doing here, you know, that they don't want you to look at. They don't want you to see the takeover that's actually going on that side, you know. And then we follow it up with, you know, as people had suggested, myself included, you know, riots and unrest once the food shortages set in and hyperinflation. Now, look how they did it, you know. A questionable incident that gets people riled up, provocateur protests, the muddying up of what people are protesting about, the division of races, the division against the state, but being steered in the way the state wants, which is the dismantling of the police as to be replaced by their private entities that they want to do eventually. All written up and all in the works already, all set with all this surveillance that they want to bring anyway, as per the solution to the big deadly virus that, woo, it's everywhere, you know, it's everywhere. You know, can't go around this glass bubble, it won't go through your mask, it comes out rougher and harder and more power at 8 o'clock at night. You know, that virus. That the CDC and the WHO now can verify numbers of flu-like yearly, you know, fatality rates. And a sickness that occurs every year on different scales. Some flus are worse than others. And that's what we just lived through. And everybody's mind and mentality is completely altered. Not everybody, but, you know, really everybody, because you know, we who understand what's going on here are reacting to it and trying to snap people awake into realizing, yo, man, do you think all this shit in the past 3 months is just happened randomly? And can you understand the repercussions of what's really going to go on here as we move forward? As they bring in another one, and they bring in mandatory testing, and people refuse, and, you know, the actual liberties and violation of people's bodies and rights that are going to be under attack collectively, all races, both genders, all ages, all cultures, all religions, as we allow them to create a two-tiered society right now with what they're doing by pumping the stock market full of these dollars and allowing the Fed to buy everything and allowing those with the means to then grow their wealth, and those that are depending on things like pensions and things to lose everything, including their businesses, with millions and millions of people out of work and not going back. You know, again, the two-tiered Hunger Games society that people like David Icke have been talking about for 3 decades. But he's just a crazy man. He'll be on again, London Real, this Sunday. I think it's 5 o'clock UK time, which would be noon here. Ike Rose 4. But if you do not think that, what could he possibly say, that we've seen him already, a lot has happened in the world since that last interview. And if you really want a good breakdown for you to then take yourself to further research and expand upon, there's nobody that connects the dots better than David Icke. And the magnitude of his research to, verify the things he's trying to get across expands over 3 decades of the building of this. So it's not like he sat there a minute ago and went, oh, okay. Even though, of course, you can follow the money and trace all of these, organizations that are being let loose on the street back to the same people by following the money trails. The same people with the same agendas that connect right into the whole COVID and Agenda 21 and everything the hell else, you know. People really need to start seeing this big picture as this grows, because, as I've said, this isn't stopping. They're going to continue. You see what they're capable of, just boom, boom, boom. Like I said, they may do it more frequently. They may do it in bigger leaps. But make no mistake, nothing that occurs on that end is random. You know, if the media is pushing it in your face 24/7, blah, 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 it's on purpose. So stop, gather some common sense, look at the entirety of what has happened, ask yourself some questions, let some more research, knowledge, facts, and evidence into your little bubble. You know, as my buddy said last night, you know, people don't want to break down that bubble, and we talk about it on here all the time, because it's their world, it's their entire, imagine living 65, 70 years, whatever, you know what I mean, older, even World War II veteran, and you have all these beliefs about what the military is and was for you, and through their own experience, they couldn't imagine at the top of this pyramid that orders are being given for nefarious purposes right now. But common sense, as my buddy said last night, if you're from that era or you're at that age, what were the things that they were supposed to be fighting for? Because they're being taken away. You're losing them. So fighting for them then, in your mind, why would you allow them to take that away now? So there's various ways to begin breaking the bubble that people live in, the bubble of perception. You know, even if they are limited at first, at least it can begin a new track, a new way of thinking for people. And that's why talking to them is important. And if everyone did it, or in much more numbers, me and my buddy were saying, you know, we think we would see more, and I don't want to say more than not, but more people than we think are questioning it. They just haven't verbalized it. They're just not comfortable with it yet, but their stomachs are churning. He was saying he was in the airport because he went on a trip last week, and, you know, he thought you had to wear a mask to go in there, and when he went in there, there were people not wearing them. And as people noticed that people weren't wearing them, instead of what you would think is, you're not wearing a mask, people started going, we don't have to wear a mask, shit, ripping that shit off. Because they know it's bullshit, and people don't want to wear the muzzle. So, you know, they're out there. Things are different according to environment and location. And what they show us on the media is definitely targeted. I think it was Max Igan yesterday was saying, you know, they show us the corners of town they want us to see. They don't show you the unity elsewhere, or, you know, the maybe peaceful protests or even nothing going on in other places. They want to give the impression that the whole world's burning down, so people are home, fear, 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 fear. Breathe. Gather your common sense. Realize the situation. And start to step into it, you know? I mean, it is what it is. And when people do realize that, the doors open further for other lines of questioning about other things, as, again, the same path we've all taken on this road to the knockout rounds of being punched awake. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there because I want to try to attach that other video when I get home. Like I said, I don't have an editor, but I think I have an idea how to do it, to at least get it up there. I'm going to take Mark's class, as I was talking about the other day. It's official now. So I will get better at things, but for now, I will do things as I know how to get them up. Anyway, love you guys. Get learning, get speaking.